CJ Miles, he's averaging 10 points a game. That's not a lot, but it is consistent. Double digits points. That is what you need. Consistency. Great not great, but really good free throw shooter at almost 84%. So you can keep him in the game. That's also important. Going down the stretch, if you got a close game and the other team starts fouling, you're going to look at getting CJ Miles into the game, and you're not going to be saying, you know what, we got to take him out the game because he's a liability, at the free throw line. That is stuff that you need. And he's only playing 18, 19 minutes, a game. That is very important, for a team. Who else they got? They got, let me see. And I'm looking at their roster right now. Serge Ibaka. I forgot about him. How could I forget about Serge Ibaka? Serge Ibaka, that was a pickup from, he had left. I think he went to the Magic and then he went to Toronto. So, not averaging 20 points and all this stuff. And the big thing about, Serge was, they say he kind of got away from, his defense, if you will, when he was in OKC, and he wanted to be this 3-point shooter, this guy that's out there just scoring, and all that. And he kind of got away from what made him what he is, Now, I don't blame Serge because he probably was trying to get paid, and ain't nothing wrong with that, trying to get your money because, they don't pay for defense like they used to. If you're not scoring, they're not going to pay you, But another quality veteran that they got on this team. And they have a good coach in Dwayne Casey as well. So are things different in Toronto this time? It possibly could be, but you got to think, and I hate to do this to the Raptors, but you got to kind of maybe look at it. Is it more around the other teams that surround them? Now, they have dominated. Don't get me wrong. They only lost 17 games. You have to applaud that. I'm not going to bring up the Atlanta Hawks. That's a totally different situation. I know people will say, well, the Atlanta Hawks, they won 60 games and look what happened to them. They're not the Atlanta Hawks, so we won't do that. But I do think, their problem really has always been when it comes playoff time, So I'm not going to necessarily say, it's different in Toronto, but I do think they understand the situation. They're not paying attention to the outside noise, that's going on, or like guys like me asking that question. They're just like, look, we're just trying to get better day by day. And then when the playoffs come, be ready to go. Now, the one thing I do think will help them out is that they got that home court advantage at this point. So you're going to have to come and see them throughout the playoffs as long as they're in the playoffs. And they're right up there with, who was that? Houston and Golden State. Houston got 53 wins. Golden State got 51. So they're right there in the mix. I don't think they'll catch them. So if they end up making it to the NBA Finals, they won't have home court. I said home field, home court, advantage. But I do think this team is a little bit different. I do think this team has a better shot than previous years. Going to Toronto was tough in previous years. I think it will be even tougher this year to go on the road for possibly 4 games if you're another team. So I think they could. Chief Rocker Jersey Vern is out there. He said, Jelani, stop looking in the past. Toronto will win the East. Yeah, I don't, well, you're talking about the number 1 spot, Chief, or are you talking about they're going to go to the finals? I wouldn't be surprised if they went to the finals. I'm not saying that. But their question mark has always been in the playoffs is that during the regular season, they have quality wins. They beat good teams. It's just during the playoffs when someone can sit down and you got to play them for possibly 7 games, Chief said he got them going to the finals. I'm not ready yet to put them there. Could they make it? Yes, but I'm just not ready to put them there yet. Toronto didn't get a lot of credit either. They went on a run, like everyone was talking about how Houston went on this run and everything, and Toronto was going on their own run, and I don't know if a lot of people were talking about it like they were talking about Houston. Now, of course, maybe, being in the Eastern Conference had something to do with that, but they only can play with the teams that's in front of them. They only can play the teams that's in front of them. But I do think things will be different in Toronto. I'm just not ready yet to put them in the finals. That's all I'm saying. They could definitely get there. Cleveland is a mess right now. They're still trying to figure everything out. Boston, of course, they're down Gordon Hayward, and they may be down Marcus Smart. They're waiting on what's going to go on with his thumb, And who was the other team? Indianapolis, I can see them maybe getting out of the first round, but then after that, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for them. They're not there yet, and if there are some Pacer fans on here, I'm sorry. Threats will be Washington. Threats will be Philadelphia. And the threat will always be, in my mind, will be Mocha Bella's Miami Heat. They got D-Wade back. So you got a chance. You got a chance when you got D-Wade. And speaking of Mocha Bellas, she's in the chat room talking about Toronto got swept last year. So that was last year, though, Mocha Bella. This is, last year was last year. Maybe they learned something from that. Maybe they did. But I do think things are different this time in Toronto. But we'll find out. We'll find out in a few weeks here, because this is all we've been waiting on, is the playoffs, to see what Toronto's going to do and really show if they are that number one seed like they are right now, or first place team like they are now. And Chief got them going to the finals. So we'll as Mocha be booking me, Mocha, you need to book Chief Rocker out there, because he said that the Toronto Raptors are going to the finals. So book that, Mocha. Please book that. All right. Angry Black Man said, Toronto folds like a tent when the bright lights come on. Management has stayed with this team a long time and tinkered with adding pieces. Have to treat them like Missouri State slogan, show me. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, Angry Black Man. You see it, but it's just like that playoff time come and things change a little bit. So it's just like, I'd rather just wait and see it. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it, but you gotta show me. You gotta prove it. You gotta prove it to me. Raider for Life said, I do believe in the clutch gene. Some people just don't perform well under playoff pressure. Toronto is on the clock. So, and Raider for Life is right. There are people that they perform at a certain level, and then when the pressure builds, or it gets tight, or it mounds up, and they are not able to adjust, like some people. So I hope Toronto is not like that, but that's what we've seen in the past. They get to the playoffs, and it's like, what kind of, when they played Cleveland, it was just like, where were they the first two games? And then they came back, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like, this was the team that we thought we were going to see, and then they went back on the road. It's just like, what happened? It was night and day, with this team. Clay Darkskin Sosa Davis said Washington has taken the lead over Boston, so I think that's the game tonight. Yeah, because, well, they should have, Clay, because Boston supposedly sat like everybody. I don't even think the mascot is playing tonight. Mascot took the night off, so they better win this game. Angry Black Man said, indeed, Raider, you can't teach or manufacture that gene, sir. You're right. So we're going to move on from there, get out of this NBA talk, And then we're going to, we are going to stay with some NBA talk. We're going to get out of it for right now because we're going to take a break. And then when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the San Antonio Spurs. In a way we've never talked about them before in the past 18 years. Very surprising. But I guess it all, everything comes full circle. And we'll get into what that is after this break. You listen to the Wait a Minute Show. Your man, Jelani JB Bodie and Lopan, who's back, still doing nothing, but we'll be back after these words.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Vince Wright, the sports governor, and you know me from the Sports Done Right show. But when I'm not doing Sports Done Right, I'm in the executive mansion chilling with the Wait a Minute Show. That's right, Jelani, Lopan. Indeed. Keep it tuned here, y'all. The Wait a Minute Show. My name is Vince Wright, and I approve this message.
Yo, this is your boy Key C from the
Kicking It With Key C show.
When I want to jam, I'm jamming with Queen Josie and DJ New as they're kicking those vibes.
Don't be a crook who steals. Buy what you need at DougieDeals.com.
We don't take orders from super fools. We give them.
Give it to you.
Any and all resistance will crumble. Nonsense. There's never been a threat
Squad.
couldn't handle. It is the purpose of the
Squad.
to align our infamous forces against the powers of good and defeat them, leaving us, the rulers of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is your man, Jelani JB Bodie, and you're listening to
It's the Wait a Minute Show
on the Two Live Stews Radio Network. We're coming to you from the ATL in the Lions Den studio, and a couple other comments in the chat room before we start talking about the San Antonio Spurs. Barbershop Sports Talk podcast, which is on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. on Spreaker.com. Make sure you check that out. Barbershop Sports Talk podcast. They said Lowry needs to show up in the playoffs. So, yeah. Got to show up in the playoffs. Clay Davis said Barbershop Lowry might need to compress again somewhere. And Tiffany Sports and Heels says, Mocha, congrats on all the participation on the bracket challenge. Yes, Mocha Bella is participating everywhere. She is the real MVP. So, one of my favorite listeners out there. So, yes. Congratulations, Mocha Bella. And glad to see you here at Tiffany Sports and Hills as well. And glad to see everyone here. So we were talking a little NBA news, and we're going to continue that right now. The Spurs. San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs. At one point, they were in 10th place in the Western Conference. Now, they jumped up to the 9th place, so they're sitting right on the outside looking in. They're tied with the Utah Jazz, which the Utah Jazz, as a lot of people thought, they would make a run and make a push to try and make the playoffs. So currently, they are sitting in that last 8th spot. So my question is, and the question for you, me, Lopan, and anyone else is, this whole thing about Kawhi Leonard, everyone was talking because he was supposed to have been back this past Thursday. Then they were like, no, he's not coming back. Now maybe later on, he may not come back, for this season, And at this point, where the San Antonio Spurs are, one, they really don't look like they're going to touch 50 games. They're going to have some type of juju beans and some magic to get to 50 wins, because they've won 50 games the past 18 years. So we don't think that's going to happen. Kawhi coming back, because the San Antonio Spurs, let's just be honest, they haven't been on vacation in the month of April for a long time. So They come to every season to make a push to make a run at the